Hey everybody, welcome to a vlog. I guess that's what they call this. We were going to do a podcast, but these two knuckleheads were in Atlanta. They're kind of hanging out because we have the SIAC on Tuesday. It's a Thursday afternoon as we talk. SWAC is coming up next Tuesday, so no need for these guys to drive back just to come back this direction. So let's talk a little HBCU sports while we're here. In case you don't know, of course you do know, this is Stephen J. Gaither, but this is our guy right here. And to bring all of this, like, to make it complete, we're in my home right now in Atlanta, my family's home, and this is Lut Williams from the Black College Sports page. Lut, it was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, probably 20 years ago.
Wow, that long.
We were shooting videos in my home. Yeah. It was a little smaller apartment then, but I've been hanging out with this guy for a while.
We actually shot that in the basement of WXII.
We did that.
Yeah.
We also, you probably don't remember, we shot one in my apartment before too.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
So we've been hanging out for a while. But
before I came along to the scene.
This guy was still wetting his pants.
He might not have been born. Were you born 20 years ago?
Man, look, I was in 8th grade.
Okay, we were in the school of hard knocks by then.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So we were at the SIAC this week. A lot of new things are happening there. We have some new teams. We knew Savannah State was coming. Who knew Edward Waters was on the way?
Showed up for the party.
I didn't.
It is rare that you get news that we can't scoop. I had no idea that was going to happen.
I didn't either. No inclination whatsoever. Had not heard anything about it on the grapevine. I got none of those it's unofficial kind of statements. So
yes, we ain't got that kind of juice.
Yeah, it's kind of a surprise. I'd probably call it a good surprise in the sense that you bring another HBCU program into the HBCU conference fold. Edward Waters has been around. I remember when
they play everybody.
Yeah, and I remember when they brought back football in 2001. In fact, Shaw and Edward Waters came in about the same time, and I actually did the game between Shaw and Edward Waters. The common denominator was the one Willie Gary, the famous attorney. So we did the Willie Gary Classic at the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium with Edward Waters, and then they went on into the NAIA. But now, certainly that news is impressive in terms of the SIAC adding another program.
Wow. So, Steve, what's the bigger get? Is it Savannah State or is it Edward Waters?
I mean, you got to think right now, let's be honest, it's Savannah State. We're here in Georgia. Georgia is a place where, you've got Fort Valley State, you've got Albany State, Morehouse, Park Atlanta. So you're adding another piece to that rivalry mix here in Georgia. And I think the new head coach, Sean Phillips, talked about it. I think for both of them, I think it's going to be a plus because, when you're in Savannah and we can talk.
Who's Sean Phillips? Sean Quinn, you mean?
Sean Quinn. There we go.
Okay.
So the old guys over here, we're supposed to have the bad memory.
Apologies to him, but he talked about how, now that they're going to be here in the SIAC, they're going to be able to get up those rivalries. And he was like, they were playing folks in Delaware, and shout out to Delaware State, all our Delaware State supporters, but that's a long drive from here. And it's hard to get people excited about that. So rivalries are what people love.
So, Lou, they have 5 away games in the middle of the year in a row. And most of them are day trips where they can go and come back. So we all know the financial troubles. That helps a lot when you can make a short trip and do it weekend after weekend after weekend as opposed to those long East Coast trips.
And when you say a get, we got to keep in mind that this get is actually not a get yet. So it's going to be a get once Savannah State clears all of its hurdles to move back to Division II, to move out of Division I, to move into the conference. And as I understand it, the Edward Waters is going to be a 3-year process before they're actually able to compete for a conference title. But they are, as I looked at their schedule, and I understand they were mandated, the other schools in the conference were mandated to add them. So now they have 7 games against SIAC schools this year, which should give them, at least give us an idea of how competitive they'll be coming from the NAIA to the NCAA Division II. There's some restrictions in Division II that you don't have in NAIA about recruiting and scholarships and those kind of things. So they got to negotiate and handle all of that hurdle before they actually come and become official members. And I think Savannah State has a 1-year probation before they'll be eligible, but they are on the schedule. They are picked, as we'll probably talk about, they were picked, I think, 5th in the East that they've been added to. And I guess the expected thing is that Edward Waters, even though they're in the southernmost team and really on the eastern side of the conference, it'll probably be added to the West when they're finally when they approve to come into the conference.
To keep that balance.
Right.
So Savannah State, they'll be eligible for the regular season championship, but they won't be eligible for the actual conference championship because of the
nobody's going to care though at Savannah, because they can finally get a chance to talk smack to their people that they grew up with. They go to the different HBCUs. I think that's the biggest thing for them, and their attendance is probably definitely going to shoot up from whatever it was in the MEAC, because you've got home games, or even if they're on the road, there's that factor of playing somebody that you know.
Albany State talked a lot about reviving that rivalry there when I talked to Coach G about those alumni were excited about getting another shot at Savannah State.
Yeah, Savannah State was a power at one time in the conference. That's what's the word? It's the place where Sterling Sharp graduated from.
There's your old man moment.
Shannon.
Okay, man.
Oh, and does that mean
one of those?
Does that mean that the MEAC has to take him off of their Hall of Fame list now?
They've never taken the rest of them who never played in MEAC off of their Hall of Fame.
Well, now that they're not
they're going to claim.
They're going to keep that drip.
Exactly. But no, Savannah State was a formidable force, and probably the reason they considered moving up, because similar to Alabama A&M used to be in the SIAC, was a power in basketball in particular, and they competed well in football. It's funny, the old SIAC commissioner Wallace Jackson told me when Alabama A&M left the conference to join the SWAC, his quote was, "They will do better in the SWAC than they did in the SIAC." And surprisingly, that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
They won more championships, were in contention for more championships, particularly in football, in the SWAC than they were in the SIAC.
That's like North Carolina Central, and they could never win the CIAA in basketball for all of those years, even when they had, Moulton and guys like that. And then they came in and now they're winning. And even in football, and it was right until they got to the end where they became a power too.
It was Broadway, right.
So, will Savannah State come in and just clean up things in the SIAC, or are they going to be just another team?
Well, you guys have that Winston-Salem State connection, and Winston-Salem State made a half-hearted move into the MEAC.
Hey, it was wholehearted. They just didn't have the money. Let's just be real. They didn't have the money.
Okay, fine.
One foot in, 1 foot out.
Well, if you want to call it
Some
that.
people left.
The point I was trying to make is that as you reminded me before we started taping, Winston-Salem State was 1-9 in its last year playing a MEAC schedule. But when they came back to the CIAA, they dominated the CIAA under Connell Maynard. They were the powerhouse, went to the national championship, and everybody at Winston-Salem State is still relishing those days as they trying to fire their coach, which is something we'll probably talk about maybe when we get to the CIAA. But so I don't know. We'll have to see. Savannah State certainly was not a power in the MEAC. They were on the bottom rung of the MEAC. But coming back to, we have to see, because the rumor and the word is that Connell Maynard benefited from a lot of those 1AA, what it was called then, recruits that he got in Winston-Salem
Kermit Blunt could always get some talented players, so yeah, he had some
but
guys
they weren't talented enough to really compete in the MEAC at the time, I'm saying. But when they came back to the CIAA.
What kills you in Division II is when the second string comes in.
Exactly.
You have that depth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Savannah was being competitive under Eric Rayburn in his last year. They had some close games. They beat people like South Carolina State. They gave other people a run for their money. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them be maybe in the top half of the East rather than on the bottom half.
Real quick before we run out of time on this segment, who will win the SIAC championship this year?
I like Reginald Ruffin. I like what he's doing at Miles. He's changed the culture at Miles. They've won, I think, now 3 championships in his tenure. He's the AD. They're making some moves even in basketball. I like Miles. I look for a repeat from Miles.
I'm gonna go with Tuskegee. You know, they were down for a year, so I think that made them a little bit hungry. You know, we'll see how they come out. They got a tough schedule. They got to go Alabama State again, who should be better. They get to play a game against Winston-Salem State, and then they get over into their conference play. But you know, it's going to probably come down to that last week, like it always does against Miles. But I'm going with Tuskegee.
Well, I think Morehouse has a case of the best quarterback, possibly the best wide receiver, possibly the best running back. I'm going to go with Morehouse. So we'll see.